What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Franchise Empire newsletter live stream. And today we've got some good stuff for you. We are going to talk about a strong resale with a manager of 14 years in place. We're going to talk about should you open a tool truck franchise? We're going to go over the sales, the costs, the fees for this tool truck. This video really popped off, by the way. People seem to like it. It was one of our highest performing franchise breakdowns that we've done in the last 3 months. I was surprised, shocked to see it. I didn't know that people would be that interested in a tool truck franchise. And then we're going to also talk about some hot topics in franchising that I think you might be interested in because people ask about them all the time. But before we dive into all of that, just a quick, important message. All right. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Tarek Johnson. I'm the CEO and founder of Franchise Empire, and I'm here with our head of brokerage, Mr. Mark Magerman. Thanks for joining, Mark.
Hi, Tarek. Thank you.
All right. So let's dive in. We got some good stuff to hit on today. And number one is franchise resale. So if this is your first time watching this, every week we highlight a specific franchise resale. We've been doing this newsletter for over a year now. Actually, has it been? It's been almost 2 years now that we've been doing this newsletter, and people seem to really like it. So we highlight a resale, and we also highlight a specific franchise. In this case, we've been going down the franchise 500 list, basically reviewing and breaking down the largest franchises in the U.S. and oftentimes in the world. This specific franchise resale is in Jacksonville, Florida. The brand is confidential. You can submit an inquiry if you want to learn more about the specifics of it. And it's in the auto and home service, business space. The asking price is $825,000. It has already been SBA pre-approved. The business has, just meaning that the business's financials can support the debt payments and pay the owner. You would still need to get SBA approved and qualified. There is a long-term manager in place of 14 years, and the what's included in the business sale is 8 vehicles, 5 technicians, and 2 customer service representatives.
And a manager, obviously.
And a manager. Yep. What are your thoughts, Mark?
Automotive and home service businesses kind of throws me for a little bit of a loop because I think they're 2 separate categories, but okay.
I don't want to give too much away. So then
I don't know the brand. So I wasn't asking, just that was the first thing that jumps out. And if the asking price is $825, I always say, okay, so an asking price is usually a derivative of a percentage or a multiple of profit, right? So that means the profit may be, if it's 4 times, I'm guessing a couple $100,000 profit, somewhere in that ballpark with the manager and the staff in place. Sounds like a healthy business to me. I mean, again, having the manager in place is really key. Comes with obviously a bunch of caveats, but I would say this is a profitable business that's been well run and with room to grow. Again, I would find out, why is it being sold and why isn't another franchise owner interested? But those are questions that can get answered along the process.
Yep, 100%. All right, overall, proven and long-standing brand, by the way. I have the luxury of knowing what brand it is. So the brand has had success. The owner currently spends 20 to 25 hours a week in the office. So if you're interested in purchasing this would be because you intend to be an owner-operator and go full-time in the business. If you are trying to come in and be a passive owner and think you can just own this business passively and just have a manager run it full time, it's just not going to be the right fit for you. We're all about trying to attract the right individuals like you and put them in the best position to succeed. You will always be in the best position to succeed. Typically, not always, that's dramatic. typically you'll be in the best position to succeed by going full-time and learning the ins and outs of your business. Unless, biggest caveat is you're an experienced entrepreneur, you're experienced at recruiting, training, and developing operators, and you've done it before. That's a whole different story. And then be prepared to put 10 to 20% down of the purchase price combined with the SBA loan. So you'll need between basically, let's just call it 90 to 200 grand to put down on this. What am I missing, Mark, or anything else from your perspective?
Yeah, I don't think you're missing anything. I would say if the current owner is spending 20 or 25 hours a week on the business and has a full-time manager and staff, then that shows you that the role of that the owner is important, right? Because this owner isn't saying, I got a team in place, I'm going to go to Tahiti and get foot massages. I'm going to stay involved. So I would say if I was going to be the person interested in buying this business, I would say I'm going to double the amount of hours I need to be there because I don't know anything about this business. I got to learn the business. This owner's been there for many years. He's doing 25 hours a week. So I would say any owner, yes, you need to spend more. And you're also going to have to spend significant time getting to know your staff, building respect, building rapport. You know, this is not going to be just sign the dotted line and go away. So I think there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of employees. There's a lot of vehicles. There's probably a lot of clients. So to Tarek's point, I don't think it's a good idea to say, I'm going to get involved in this and not be involved unless, again, you've got experience, you might have some other companies, and you might be bringing in your own operator with equity to run it. And if that's the case, you as the owner don't need to be there, but that equity partner would be. Just don't look at this business as passive. It's just would be a mistake, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. All right, guys. Well, if you are interested in learning more about this specific franchise resale in Florida, or if you're in a different area of the country and you're interested to know, hey, are there any franchise resales available in my neck of the woods? Then you can go to franchiseempire.com/resales. You will be able to schedule a free conversation, a meeting with our brokerage team, and we'll be able to check our portfolio to see what we have available. And if we don't have anything available, we'll be able to put you on a waiting list of when we may have something that pops up in your area where we'd reach out to you. So, and you'll also have the opportunity to look into some new franchise territories too, because people often who are interested in resales, if there's nothing available in their desired area, they'll often take a look at new opportunities, because sometimes you could be waiting a long time if you're just waiting on just a resale. So, but ultimately it's really about whatever, works out the best for you and your situation. And we're agnostic to that overall. Yep. All right. New franchise owner. Yes. Yes. Man, that has to be from like 25 years ago, because he looks a lot different now.
Well, you know what movie that is?
Which movie? Is that
Rudy?
Rocky?
That's Rudy.
Oh, that's Rudy.
Remember when he comes out finally at the end and he's actually got the Notre Dame equipment on, and his buddy there, I forget the character's name, but it was a really good movie. But that's when he's really proud of Rudy because he finally made it onto the Notre Dame roster.
Oh man, see, you truly are the king of trivia, Mark. You really are.
I'm just a lot older than you are, Tarek. I've seen more. That's all it is.
I promise you, I will not be that good at like random facts and trivia when I'm your age.
Well, here's the thing: you're just going to know more things. You're going to learn more things, so you might be. So you never know. I don't know that I'll know you when you're my age, but I'll check back later on that.
With technology nowadays, who knows?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about Adam. This was someone, Mark runs our brokerage team, guys. You know that I've shared that, our head of brokerage. And so he's in the loop on all of the individuals that we work with or that his team is working with. And they're constantly collaborating and talking about it to ensure that, they get the service that that are desired and that they align with the right opportunity that meets their goals. So do you want to share a little bit about Adam and her working with Laura?
Sure. So
or him working with Laura, sorry.
Yep. Nope. Adam had been a nurse practitioner who had spent the last 14 years working in gastroenterology with his wife, Caleigh. I'm not sure if that was their own business or not. I don't think it was. I think they were employees, if I remember right. And with his wife, Caleigh, they bring a blend of healthcare and retail experience to the table. So for over a year, they'd been researching franchise opportunities in Virginia, looking for the right fit to help him transition from employee to entrepreneur. Again, when you do this yourself, it's just so fraught with risk because you just don't know what it is you're looking for. And he spent a year until he finally woke up one day and said, I think I'm going to stop pounding myself in the head with a hammer, and I'm going to seek out somebody who can professionally guide me through. So their vision was pretty clear. Find a business they could grow together with the potential for Adam to take a step back over time and let Caleigh lead the day-to-day operations. That's when they connected with Laura Pfeiffer on our team. And if you guys have listened to these newsletters each week, Laura's name comes up a lot because she's fantastic. So Laura worked very closely with Caleigh and with Adam to identify franchise brands that were aligning with their long-term goals and lifestyle. Then the perfect brand came into the mix and everything kind of clicked for them. The model was scalable. The systems were strong. It gave them exactly what they were looking for. And from our standpoint as brokers, when that happens and a light goes off, it's very rewarding because you know when the candidates find something that they really like. And that's really our job, is to find that for them.
Yeah, 100%.
So now they're the proud owners of 2 territories in Virginia, and they're officially on their path to business ownership. And when that happens, I think if you ask our broker team or anybody who does this for a living, the goal and the joy we have is when people become franchise owners and start living their own realities. And again, our brokers have all been franchise owners in the past, so we know what that's like. And that's the reward right there when you see it happen. And these guys are going to be fantastic. And it's also great when you have a husband and wife team or a partnership team, because that means you can share the dual responsibilities that come with it, and you can be that much more effective.
Yeah. It's funny, Mark. I got a so for those of you guys watching, we sent out some emails to I just wanted to connect with some of our clients that we worked with this past year. I guess we can, after they sign a franchise agreement, we can call them clients at that point, right? There would no longer be candidates.
Or franchisees.
The candidacy is over.
Franchisees or clients, sure. Either way, you're the boss. You can call them whatever you want.
So connecting with some of our franchisees that bought through Franchise Empire, and one of the guys responded today, Abraham, that Chris worked with, and he said, basically like, yeah, sorry, I had missed your message, and he said, my calendar is slammed for the next 100 days, but I could squeeze you in this Friday. And I thought, what a quality problem. That is music to my ears, to send an email to one of these franchisees that we helped and them say, hey, yeah, my calendar's basically packed for the next 100 days, unless it was some sort of scare tactic or scarcity tactic to ensure that him and I connected. Either way, it made me smile.
No, it would. And if he didn't want to talk to you, he just wouldn't have called you back in the first place. So again, those are great stories. Because again, when we work with our candidates and they get to the point where they sign their franchise agreements and we congratulate them, in many cases, we kind of lose touch with them. So the fact that you, from Franchise Empire's perspective, Tark, that we keep in touch with them, those are very fulfilling stories, because it's like, oh yeah, that's right. How they doing? Because again, life goes on and you don't have a chance to check in as much as you'd like. So it's great when we get these opportunities to check in on our candidates and then find that they're thriving. It's very rewarding.
Yeah, 100%. All right, franchise of the week, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, if you are not signed up to get this in your inbox, franchiseempire.com/newsletter, we send this out every Sunday morning. And you won't have to wait for Mark and I to be on here and do this. And by the way, Mark, I got to start doing a better job of inviting people to ask questions when we do these live streams. So if you guys have any questions or comments, by the way, that you want Mark and I to address, drop them down below, and we shall do that towards the end.
Please.
All right. So here's the franchise of the week, Mark, that got the video got a lot of views. People really loved it, which is Snap-on Tools. What's your level of familiarity with Snap-on?
4 to 5 on a scale of 10, but I knew a group of folks that owned several of them years ago, but didn't dive into it. So I know it's been very popular and very successful. I just don't know. I'm looking forward to reading this description that you're going to give us at this point.
I'm impressed out of 4 or 5 out of 10, because before I recorded this video and we had put this all together, we recorded a whole video breaking it down. I was like a 1 out of 10. I would, and that's being generous.
Yeah, well, I would have been a 1, but like I said, I knew people who ultimately ran these businesses, so I had a few conversations with them about it. I knew it existed.
How did they do?
They did fantastic. They were really thriving. It was a really successful business for them, and this is going back now years. I think it was even back during my Five Guys days when I wasn't even in the brokerage side of things. But it was a buddy of mine who had a friend that we met. They actually came into the restaurant one day, I remember, and he was telling me about his Snap-on tools. They had the truck out there. It's a cool model, and it's if I remember right, it was a lot of owner operator kind of stuff, chucking a truck kind of stuff. But nothing. I mean, they had positive things to say. They were very happy.
Nice. Fantastic. Well, Snap-on Tools is, well, we're going to dive into it. So in 1920, yes, you heard that right. It started with a 19, not a 20. 1920, 2 engineers, Joseph and William, were working out of a small workshop in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, when they came up with a simple but groundbreaking idea, a set of 10 sockets that would snap on, hence Snap-on Tools, to 5 interchangeable handles. Now, this doesn't sound like rocket science today as we know it with tools, but keep in mind this was literally
100 years
over
ago.
100 years ago. Yeah. So pretty cool. Their motto was 5 do the work of the 50. Interesting. And it was all about creating efficiency. And by the 1930s, Snap-on dealers began selling directly from trucks, driving to auto shops and showing mechanics the tools in person. So this is literally what this business is. You are selling tools door to door to automotive businesses and shops primarily. And so even through the Great Depression, Snap-on continued to innovate, becoming one of the first companies to offer credit to customers, allowing them to pay weekly and keep their business running. As we know, in-house financing is definitely a popular way to continue to get more customers. Mark, do you remember layaway? Is that even still a thing?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a thing anymore, but my wife and I used to once a year at Christmas, we would pick a retailer. We would go in, we would go to the manager, and we would say, give us somebody who's paying something on layaway, and we would pay for it. Just something we always wanted to do to kind of give back. So
wow.
That was really kind of cool. But I think it went away because I remember a few times we'd go in and say, "Can we have any? You have any layaway clients?" And they're like, "What?" So I don't think it exists anymore. But I loved it because again, you'd be doing something for people that they really appreciated, and you could do it anonymously. So we used to do that.
Oh, that's really awesome. Every time we talk, I learn more and more that, Mark has got more of a softer side than I know.
Let's try to keep it between you and me and whoever's on this call. Okay. Thanks.
Oh man. So in 1991, literally 71 years later, which is crazy, Snap-on decided to start franchising. And that decision turned their tool trucks into independent businesses, giving entrepreneurs the opportunity to own their own trucks. I'm trying to remember if it was this or Matco, but one of these companies did some work with Ford that got popularized through that. And then on one of the space rockets, Snap-on work on space rockets. That might have been the other tool company.
I don't remember.
Yes. Yeah, let me look into that in a bit. Today, Snap-on operates in over 130 countries, has more than 4,600 franchise locations, including about 3,400 in the U.S. They're still known for producing some of the highest quality professional grade tools in the market. And to your point, Mark, I from when we did the video and the numbers on this, I still believe it is primarily kind of an owner operator, not just because you can have an owner operator business that has a team, but this is primarily like a kind of chuck in the truck business.
Yeah. If I remember right, the people that I met owned the business and owned 5 routes and had 5 people working for them driving the routes. So same type of thing. So it sounds like they scaled it, right? They bought 5 territories or 5 opportunities and then had hourly employees, I think, writing it for them, and they were responsible for them. So they had a really legitimate business, and I know they were not in the truck driving tools to different places on their own. They weren't doing that.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Well, the investment ranges from $220,000 to $500,000. Franchise fee is only $8,000 to $16,000. But here, I'll explain why in a minute, because that's not really how they're making their money. Initial inventory 140 to 150 grand. So this is where they make their initial money instead of the franchise fee, because they are the manufacturer of the tools.
Yes, they are.
Right. And they're going to mark it up a little bit to you. You're still going to get, you're not going to pay retail. You pay, let's call it wholesale price, but Snap-on is manufacturing the tools, is still going to make money on it.
I'm not even, again, I could be wrong, but you might even have to buy the vehicles through them as well. If I'm not, that I don't know why that sticks out with me, but I think they make a piece. I think they get a cut on the vehicles is in addition to that. I don't know why I think that, but anyway.
Interesting.
Yeah, but they definitely make their money on making the only product you can buy are their products. So that's why there's no such thing as, that's why there's low franchise fees. In my opinion, there should be 0 franchise fees, but okay. And that's why there's no royalties or marketing fees.
Yep, exactly. Yep, because they're making money off of the tools. Well, the van costs $65,000 to $195,000. I would imagine if someone bought one or multiple, I'm not sure. That's a pretty significant range.
It is.
Yeah. So here, yep, I remember looking through this item 19. This is where it's pretty interesting. All right, so all reporting franchisees. Let's dive into this first. Let's see how big I can make this. There we go. So let's start out with the bottom. The bottom 1/3 averages $509,000 in sales. Lowest performer doing 103. Gosh, where's that? Oh, I don't have it on here, the marker. Lowest performer doing 103. Highest performer doing 658,000. In the middle third, you've got the average performer doing 774,000 in sales. Highest doing 898. The lowest doing 658. And in the top 1/3 of franchisees, you've got the average doing 1.1 million in sales, the highest 2.69 million, the lowest 898. Mark, I'm really curious because in businesses like this, and we have a comment here in a second, Stephen. We'll hit you in a second. In businesses like this, the gross profit is so low, I would imagine, because of their cost of the tools. It's going to be quite different because their cost of goods. So in the food business, okay, basically you want to have like 25% or lower for your food cost, 25 to 30% for your labor cost. And then it's like, okay, you're at a gross profit margin somewhere around 40%. You could be at a gross profit margin of only 25% here because of the cost of tools, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a byproduct of what you sell it for, right? I mean, you probably have a fixed price that you're buying the tools from, and then you sell it for what you think you can get for them. But yeah, I would imagine that they're not very high margin. But even if it's a 20% margin business, again, this is an owner-operator model, right? So it's really the person doing this is the one who's benefiting from it. There's not a lot of staff. There's not a lot of other ancillary costs. So if you make 20% on the $1.1 million, you're at 220 grand. That's not a bad income for yourself to own and operate your own business. And that's, I think, what this is really. This is really you're in the van, you've got the route, you're out there doing it. I mean, the downside is if you break your leg and you're out for a week, you don't drive it, but that's the model. I'm pretty sure that's the model here. And if it's 20% margin, again, I tell our candidates all the time, we ran a very good restaurant business, very good. And even our best restaurant that did the highest revenue, if we got 6 or 7% margin at the end of the year, that was good. So when you say only 15 or 20%, I'm
but you're talking about net. I'm talking about gross profit margin.
Well, but my point is the gross and the net probably aren't that much different here.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's the first I'm learning about it, but you buy the vehicle, you buy the tools, you maintain the vehicle, you put gas in the vehicle. Where are your other ancillary costs coming from? There's probably not a lot more of them.
Well, after gross profit, you'd have the cost of the vehicle, you'd have gas, I guess. Yeah, and we're gonna jump into the folks that actually have an employee assistant because those numbers are interesting too.
Sure.
But let's hit this question from Steven first. How do they generate engagement without a marketing fee involved? Does corporate do all of the marketing on the house? What's your take on that, Mark?
Yes, because they're not charging you for it, but I also bet it's not a overly sophisticated marketing plan either. I think in this case, most of it is the person who owns the truck is going and knocking on doors and saying, "Hi, I represent this business, and we have these great tools, and do you want to sell them?" I don't think you're going to get that support from a marketing standpoint that other brands would provide that you're paying fees for.
Yeah, yeah, I agree 100%. Basically, you're going door to door, so there's not much marketing needed, essentially.
Yeah. However, the same things are true that we talk to candidates that do have that support. You can still join your local chamber of commerce. You can still get out in the community and kill more than one bird with one stone from that standpoint without a lot of expense attached to that.
Yeah. And then Steven's other question, and no royalty, would that discourage involvement in the growth of the Z?
I'm sorry, ask that. Can you put that up there one more time?
Yep. And no royalty, would that discourage involvement in the growth of the Z, like the franchisor trying to help the franchisee grow?
Well, again, so the model here is Snap-on is making money every time they sell a tool to a franchise owner. So the more tools they sell, the more money the parent company is going to make. So I think it's the opposite. I think it encourages them to sell a crap load of tools because the more tools they sell, the more they make. So I think they're encouraging franchisees to sell as many of those tools as possible. And I wouldn't be surprised, even though there's no marketing, they probably have some tips and something to offer to help them, some type of selling platform. But I think it's the same, there's no royalty, which just means there's no incentive there's no cost to the franchisee. Does he mean that because the franchisee isn't paying a royalty, they don't have incentive to grow their business? I don't think that's what he meant, but that would be no as well. It's just one less expense you have in your business. So I think the model works. And if you're looking at the numbers that we're sharing, the model obviously works.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically it. They're making their money on tools. And, a lot of franchisors do make money off of selling franchisees products.
Sure.
It's just not their whole business model. And I know in our FDD or franchise agreement, the franchisor is required to disclose when they do make money off of certain things that they sell you. They have to disclose it. That's one of the cool things about franchising. And they can force you to buy from a specific provider, although if that provider is somehow marking it up beyond market value just so the franchisor can make more money, that's where the franchisor can get in big legal trouble. Absolutely. And that was part of Quiznos' deal and part of what was their demise, right? They were basically overcharging their franchisees.
Yeah, they were price gouging the franchisees. And to that point, Tarek, we work with a lot of brands who sell the franchisees product. Their HVAC is typical. That's a typical category where that would happen. But usually that's a built-in incentive for both. Yes, the franchisor is making money because they're selling the products to the franchisee, but the franchisee is buying those products for a lot less than they would in another vendor. So it really works for both.
Yeah.
Well, good franchise programs, it should work for both.
Yes, yeah, that's good. Good asterisk there. Yeah, for the right systems overall. Um, okay, all right. So, well, that's an interesting point, Stephen. So he said, I know that's why a lot of brands implement minimum royalties, so you don't just have Z's that just sit stagnant. And what we don't know, because this is just a snippet of the FDD or of information from the FDD, they may have minimum sales targets. Like there may be minimum sales production targets where, hey, if you're not producing X number of sales, either there could be penalties or something like that that we don't have
There
represented
has to
here.
be. There has to be, because again, if I buy a truck route from Snap-on Tools and I'm owning this territory and I'm underperforming, they're going to want to get me the hell out of there, and they're going to replace me with somebody who's going to produce more. So I'm sure there's some type of minimums. And in this case, I mean, the words are interchangeable. They're not charging you a marketing fee, but they're charging you the cost of the tools. Call it what you will. That's still a revenue line item on their P&L that they're making from the franchisees. It's just not called royalty. And it's a little different kind of model, again, because they're working specifically with owner operators, people doing that kind of work. I think it's different. And they've obviously been very successful doing it. But I think, is it Adam that's asking these questions? Was it Adam who's asking?
Steven,
great questions, though. I actually had to think about some of them because you kind of confused me on a couple of those.
There are really good questions. So here's what's interesting is that so we went over the all reporting franchisees, but then they break it down, Mark, into franchisees reporting with an employee assistant and franchisees not reporting an employee assistant. And I remember when Allie and I were here recording the video for this, and I was just kind of doing the math overall. The averages. So if we just look at, here's what's they say mean and they say average. Aren't mean and average the same term? Is there a difference between mean and average?
No, there's a difference between average and median, but there's not a difference between mean and average.
So why in the world would they put average, mean?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, to me, it's interchangeable. I don't know. That's a very good question that I just don't know the answer to. Although I see a lot more people having an assistant than not, right?
So, okay.
No, most don't. Franchisees not. 90% almost, or 80% almost don't.
So, mean, what is the difference between mean and average? Mean has a precise mathematical definition, and in fact, there are several types, and you're very unlikely to hear it outside of this context. Oh, average is usually a colloquial term. Okay, I don't like that definition. So, although they are often used interchangeably, average is a general term that can refer to the mean, median, or mode, while mean specifically refers to the arithmetic mean, where you sum all of the numbers and divide by the count of the numbers. However, in common usage, average is almost always used to mean, so I think they're saying average.
They absolutely are. And
Okay.
I notwithstanding what you just read, at the end, they're going to say a lot of people use average in terms of, and mean it's the same thing. So I think for this conversation, it's average.
It's just so weird. Okay. The point was, if we assume average and apples to apples, they only did $30,000 more in sales, the bottom 1/3, with an employee assistant. The middle 1/3 did an additional $137,000 in sales, and the top 1/3 did an additional $170,000 in sales for the employee assistant. But here's where, not to nerd out too much, here's where it's like, okay, does that actually make sense financially? Because if you're doing $170,000 in sales, and let's say, as an example, your gross profit margin is 20% of that, that's what, 34,000. Well, you're probably paying more than 34,000 for an employee assistant, right? So it doesn't even become worth it.
Yeah, but I mean, you're saying you're comparing the 1,287 on the third of those that are reporting an assistant versus the 1.12 for those not. So
For all thirds down the line, I'm saying I don't know that the increase in sales is worth having that expense unless it's significantly reducing, the owner's amount of time that the owner's working.
that's where I was going to go with it. My guess would be the owner saying, "Listen, here's the route. You run the route. You're going to generate the 1.12, the $1.287 million. I'm going to be in Tahiti getting foot massages. Good luck. Knock yourself out. I'll pay you your $34,000, whatever that is, out that top number. Just leave me alone." That's my guess. That'd be my guess.
Yeah, then that would make sense, and it would be worth it.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys, that's about it on that side of things of the franchise of the week. So if you're thinking, well, that was cool and interesting, but I do not want to open a Snap-on Fitness, I'm with you. I don't either. No disrespect to them. Clearly, they've been highly successful. But if you would like to know what potential franchise options are available in your specific area, you can go to franchiseempire.com/check territory, and our team will check for you, specifically for ones that align with your goals, your interests, lifestyle, etc. Skill sets, not necessarily interests, skill sets. Because what you're interested in may or may not align with the business that you'll be the most successful in.
Correct.
Oftentimes we have people that buy businesses that really are not close to what they're interested or passionate about, but they're like, hey, I can see the business case for it. Right, Mark?
Yeah. Shiny penny.
Shiny penny. What do you mean by that?
Again, we have to sometimes talk people out of the, they see something that's glamorous. It's shiny. It's beautiful. It's pretty. I want to buy that. The shiny penny. It might not be the right thing for them, but sometimes the dull dime is better than the shiny penny. You just never know. So the shiny penny is not always the answer for you.
I like that. Man, you just always have these great sayings. The dull dime doesn't look as good as the shiny penny. Man, I'm gonna add that to the repertoire.
Call it yours, Tarek. The only time I'll challenge you on it is if you use it in my company. I'll say that you stole it. Otherwise, I'll never know.
I will always give credit. I give credit where credit's due, unless I'm trying to impress someone, Mark. I played when I played golf this weekend. By the way, we played with two guys that used to live up in Boston, but they sounded nothing like you. They had lost their accents.
Yeah, it usually happens when you get down there.
Okay, the most recent podcast episodes that went live. Again, you can watch these on the Franchise Empire YouTube channel, or you can listen to them on wherever you consume your podcast. So the first one is around the harsh truth about semi-passive franchises. You're going to want to listen to that one. Again, you can watch it on YouTube or listen on any podcast platform. The other one is how much to open a hotel. We talk about DoubleTree by Hilton, their cost, and we break down some other financials around them. You may have not even known that they were a franchise. And that's it. That's all I got. Mark, anything else to close with?
No, I can see why the Snap-on tools got a lot of momentum because it's a cool little conversation, and it's different than a lot of the ones that we share each week. I learned something about that, so that's great.
Yeah, it was interesting. All right, guys. Mark, thanks for joining, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right. Thank you, guys. Bye.